A power greater than money, greater than titles, greater than armies, greater even than the applause of the world. It is not the power to conquer lands, to command people, or to collect wealth. Those powers may impress others, but they do not last. Kingdoms fall, fortune fades, crowds forget. The greatest power, the only true power, is the power to conquer yourself. As the ancient philosopher Lao Tzu said, "He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still." From the beginning of time, legends have told us that true greatness begins within. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the mighty Roman Empire, wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He commanded armies, ruled nations, yet in his quiet reflections he admitted, the only power that matters is power over oneself, power over thoughts, emotions, impulses, and desires. The Buddha taught the same truth. Though one should conquer 1,000 men in battle, if he conquers himself, he is the greatest victor. The battlefield of life is not outside, it is within. Consider Alexander the Great, the young king who conquered the known world before the age of 30. His name echoes through history as one of the greatest military geniuses. But despite ruling millions, Alexander struggled to rule himself. His temper and lack of self-control often led to reckless decisions, and in a drunken rage, he even killed his closest friend. The lesson? You may conquer nations, but if you cannot conquer yourself, you will always remain a prisoner. Now contrast this with Nelson Mandela. Locked in prison for 27 years, robbed of his freedom, he had every reason to be consumed by bitterness. Yet, he mastered his anger. He mastered his fear. He mastered his desire for revenge. And when he was released, he emerged not as a broken man, but as a leader capable of forgiving, uniting, and transforming a divided nation. That is self-mastery. That is true power. Why self-mastery is hard? But why is mastering yourself so difficult? Because it is easier to point fingers at the world than to face your own weaknesses. It is easier to chase external victories than to confront internal struggles. It is easier to control others than to control your anger. It is easier to spend money than to discipline your desires. It is easier to chase applause than to silence your ego. But legends remind us, the path of ease is the path of weakness. The path of self-mastery is the path of true power. Think of Michael Jordan, the basketball legend. His greatness was not only in his athleticism, but in his mental discipline. He once said, "I have failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." He mastered his mindset. He refused to let mistakes define him, refused to let pressure break him. That inner control turned him into a champion. Muhammad Ali, the boxing legend, was not just a fighter in the ring. He was a fighter of self. He trained harder than anyone, waking before dawn, pushing his body to limits others feared. He said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion." Self-mastery is not about comfort, it is about discipline. Choosing pain today for strength tomorrow. What happens when we fail to master ourselves? History is full of brilliant leaders destroyed not by enemies, but by themselves. Napoleon, one of the greatest military minds, lost everything because of unchecked ambition. Julius Caesar fell not from weakness, but from pride and arrogance. Countless kings and emperors destroyed empires not through lack of resources, but through lack of self-control. Unmastered emotions, greed, anger, pride have destroyed more men than any army. But self-mastery is not just for kings, presidents, or athletes. It is for you and me. When you wake early to pursue your goals instead of hitting snooze, that is self-mastery. When you choose patience over anger in an argument, that is self-mastery. When you save money instead of wasting it on impulse, that is self-mastery. When you work hard even when no one is watching, that is self-mastery. These small victories build the foundation of great power. When you master yourself, you influence everything around you. A leader with self-mastery inspires trust. A teacher with self-mastery inspires discipline. A parent with self-mastery raises strong children. Your self-mastery is not just for you. It is a gift to everyone whose life you touch. True legends also remind us that self-mastery is deeply spiritual. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, after returning from battle, we have returned from the lesser jihad to the greater jihad. When asked what he meant, he explained, the greatest struggle is against the self. The true battle is not against enemies outside, but against the weaknesses inside. So, how do we begin this lifelong journey? What you think shapes who you are. Replace fear with courage, doubt with faith, negativity with hope. Words can heal or wound. A master of self speaks with wisdom, patience, and kindness. Do what is right, not what is easy. Discipline yourself in habits, health, and work. Learn to say no to excess, to greed, to impulses that weaken you. Do not let anger dictate your actions or fear dictate your future. Remember, self-mastery does not always make headlines, but it always makes heroes. The single mother who sacrifices sleep to provide for her children is a master of herself. The student who resists distraction to study late into the night is a master of herself. The person who forgives when it is easier to hate is a master of himself. Legends are not always on stages. They are often quietly conquering themselves in the shadows. My friends, the world today worships external power, money, fame, status. But history shows us time and time again that these are illusions. The richest man may be a slave to greed. The most famous celebrity may be broken inside. The strongest warrior may be defeated by his own ego. But the one who has mastered himself, his mind, his heart, his desires, that person cannot be defeated. That person carries true power wherever he goes. So today I urge you, do not chase the power of the world. Chase the power within. Do not waste your life conquering others. Conquer yourself. Do not fear losing things outside you. Fear losing control inside you. Because mastering yourself is not just power, it is peace, it is freedom, it is greatness. And when history remembers you, it will not remember how much you controlled others. It will remember how deeply you mastered yourself. So rise, my friends. Be patient when it is hard. Be disciplined when it is painful. Be calm when it is tempting to rage. Be strong when weakness calls your name. Because that, and only that, is true power. Thank you.